I want to get your take on this, Drew, because you were the one that picked the Celtics at the start
man.
of the playoffs.
Yep.
You picked them to win the finals. So what went wrong for the Celtics, and do you think their championship window is closed?
I'll start with the championship window being closed. Excuse me. I'll say this. I don't believe their championship window is closed. They have a young core still. Jayson Tatum's 24 years old. Jaylen Brown's 25 years old. You keep these two together. You keep that dynamic that they have going on. The two will get better. Jaylen Brown was as great as he was without being a great ball handler. What Jaylen Brown has to do this offseason is simply work on his ball handling, work on going left. If you get Jaylen Brown clean ball handling, he becomes into that conversation of a top 15 player. I do firmly believe that. Now you have Jayson Tatum.
No, just to cut you over quick. You know the top 15 players are like Trae Young, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, those type of players.
But
Ja Moran.
What is...
Ja Moran and Trae are younger than them.
That's going to next season, for
Trae
sure.
and Ja are younger than
and where we are right now, no, he's not top 15, no way, no how. But right now, I have Jaylen Brown as the top 25
So I'm
player.
saying you think he can walk into that.
He works on his ball handling. He consistently gets better at it, driving to the bucket, and also just slightly works on his playmaking. I'm not as low as everyone else seems to be on Jaylen Brown's playmaking. I just think that he's a little bit too erratic when he's driving to the cup. We spoke about it a little bit on our way here. Jaylen Brown has moments where he's a really good playmaker. He drives to the cup, hits someone very nicely as they're cutting as well. But there's times where he'll drive to the cup, he'll stop, he'll pivot, he'll start to panic a little bit, and then he'll throw up a bad shot. That's the Jaylen Brown that I need to see cleaned up a little bit. And as for Jayson Tatum, he just has to come back with a different mentality. He understands that people are scrutinizing him. This is the first time that he's really having people talk crazy on his name, right? All the Kobe memes, everything that's going on with that. Now, I find that a little bit egregious, too. That's his idol. That's who he looks up to. That's the motivation that he used to drive him. If you guys want to call that corny, that's on you guys, but I find that a little bit irresponsible. But there's moments where, yes, Tatum needs to be bigger. There was moments where he's driving to the cup. He needs to go up more aggressive. He needs to work on his mid-range game. His three-point shot was amazing. There's nothing to say about that. His playmaking was great, and that's a little bit to where I'm going to shift into what went wrong for the Celtics. Jayson Tatum in Game 1 had a bad shooting night, but what he did effectively was defend and playmake. As the series went on, it seemed as if he became more fixated with trying to be the scorer for the Celtics when he didn't necessarily need to be. He was really focusing on trying to get buckets because the conversation was, oh, man, he struggled. But, is this something that we have to continue to see? We've seen Jayson Tatum struggle. Is he going to bounce back? And he became so fixated with trying to score the basketball that it kind of took over his mentality and the way that he approached the game. I think that Jayson Tatum cleans that up and he just gives into the fact that, hey, if I'm not going to have it in a certain night, I have guys that I can trust around. But the turnovers, you mentioned it earlier. That's the one thing I look at for the Boston Celtics. And I think that that's where it went wrong for them. They played too tight, and it led to them turning the ball over. Marcus Smart turned over the ball a ton. Jaylen Brown turned over the ball a ton. And Jayson Tatum, who led the postseason in total turnovers, he turned over the ball a ton. And it led to Golden State points off turnovers, just game-breaking shots that the Golden State Warriors were getting because of the Celtics playing so sloppily. You look at it in all the games that they lost. They had over 16 turnovers in all of them. You had in game 2, the Celtics had 19 total turnovers. Game 4, they had 16 total turnovers. In Game 5, the Celtics had 18 total turnovers. And in this most recent Game 6, they had 23 total turnovers. You're not going to win a game like that. You need to be smarter with the ball. You need to be more meticulous with how you're moving the basketball because there's teams like the Golden State Warriors that feast off opportunity. You can't give teams 23 total more opportunities to facilitate an offense because they'll put you away. They're too good of a scoring team, and defensively, that's not any discrediting to what Golden State Warriors were doing with the ball. Doing off the ball playing defense. They were fantastic. But at the same time, the Celtics were sloppy, and they just need to come back next season with a cleaner game. And both Tatum and Brown can get better, and I'm expecting them to get better. But no way can I look at this Celtics team and see the season that they just put forth and think that their title chances are closed. Not with the core of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
It's a nice little core. But I think you missed out a lot of some good names. For me, I don't think the championship window is close. And it's getting into a championship is really tough. I think especially now that in the East, they're in the Giannis era. Kevin Durant's still one of the best players in the league. So, Brooklyn's going to be there. The Bucks going to be there.
Joel Cunningham is coming.
Yeah, he's GOAT. He'll be better than Tatum, by the way. Embiid, still a dog. We always forget him because his team isn't that great, but he's still going to be around. Miami, Jimmy Butler, he's not fading anytime soon.
Scotty Barnes is coming.
So are you saying that these are the names I missed on?
No. Listen, let me talk.
Because I'm not saying that they're necessarily a lock to go. I'm just saying their title chance is definitely not
for Boston, for me, I'm looking at Rob Will, who you didn't mention. I'm looking at Grant Williams, who you didn't mention. Marcus Smart, who you didn't mention. I'm looking at these guys, and I'm thinking Rob Will.
You wanted me to go on for 10 minutes? Would I have been allowed to talk for 10 minutes? I just want to keep
team,
it
bro.
Yeah. Come on, don't do that to me.
I'm looking at Rob Will, and he was on a hobbled knee, giving out extreme effort every time he played. Defensively, you saw the impact. For me, I just want to see him get maybe a little mid-range pop shot, something that could just keep the defense honest.
Who are you talking about here?
Rob Will.
Oh,
keep
yeah,
the
I'm with you there.
If he can get that little mid-range pop shot, so because a lot of times on offense, he's left wide open or he's giving a help defender. If he can get that or a little floater in his game,
I agree.
That'd be huge, a step in the right direction.
Definitely.
But defensively, you want him to be healthy. Grant Williams, just keep working on that jump shot. 3 and D, keep working on that jump shot. Defensively, he improved. Offensively, he was great this year for them in his role. Boston, they're in a great spot because Derek White, Grant Williams, Rob Williams, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they're all around the same age. Marcus Smart is probably the oldest.
Yep.
Well, aside from Al Horford, but Marcus Smart is probably the oldest out of that group. I think he's like 27, 28. So they're all around the same age. So it's a great time to definitely get that chemistry together. I would like them to bring up a backup point guard, somebody who's a playmaker so they can alternate from Smart to the playmaking role. I don't think they need to go away from Smart. No, just bring in another, not Tyus Jones, but that type of point guard that can run the show.
Well, why not Tyus Jones?
That's what I said.
They can try to get him, but he might offer a little bit, a lot of money. He might want to start somewhere. That's why I said, but
what about Ricky Rubio?
It's crazy. We both tweaked. Yeah, 100%.
I said that. Ricky Rubio.
That was the conversation we had.
Ricky Rubio, somebody like a point guard like that, so they don't have to. I don't think Marcus Smart letting him go is the obvious answer. I think that him starting is cool, but you can just alternate from that type of point guard to a playmaking point guard. Peyton Pritchard was supposed to be that, but he's small, 6 feet, and he's a little bit inconsistent. I think bringing in somebody like Rubio would be huge, but I think this team window isn't closed. I think their window is actually just opening. I think they're going to be in the contender conversation for a long time because Tatum is 24. Jaylen Brown is 25. Jaylen Brown does need to work on his handles. Tatum needs to work on his inside game, mid-range, finishing at the basket. Yes, he's got stronger, but he has to get stronger at finishing. He has to develop a bit more of a layup package. Like people had the little bag, you develop that. Now develop a layup bag. Get the mid-range intact. The three-pointer was good. His playmaking has improved. But just keep improving. Year in, year out, Boston has improved. The two guys have improved. So I think their window will be open for a long time, maybe 5 to 6 years.
Look, it's still open. It's been open. I feel like the most important thing about the Celtics is that they answered one of the more pressing questions that people have had about them for the past couple of years. Can Jaylen Brown 100%. And Jayson Tatum work?
Yep.
And this season basically ended all those conversations around them. 2 games away from winning the championship, it can work. So now it's about building on it. Now, I thought that Ime showed that he was rookie coach in the series because, especially in Game 6, you have a lineup out there of, at one point in time, it was Payne Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Rob Will, and Grant Will.
And this is as they're going on their run in the first quarter.
Yeah, it just, to me, that it didn't make sense. And even though Derek White has been good, he is somebody that's not a very good shooter. Draymond has even mentioned it in his podcast, you live with Derek White taking those shots, which is why Tatum in this series struggled because Golden State defended Tatum the same way the Celtics defended Kevin Durant in the first round. It wasn't anything special. Maybe occasionally they sent a little bit of a trap here, but they put one guy on him, they sagged off other players, and they just helped. And that really put Tatum into a frenzy.
Right.
And he tried to force passes, he tried to force up shots, and now we saw Tatum struggle. But you're right, the biggest thing was turnovers. They had 97 turnovers in this series combined, and there's a stat that says that when they have less than 15 turnovers, their record is significantly better versus when they have 15 or more. Mm-hmm. So the Celtics' biggest thing is turnovers, and I feel like a backup point guard could help. I thought the Payne Pritchard minutes killed them this series.
Yeah.
Every time Pritchard was on the court, I felt like nothing good happened. He kept on taking really stupid shots that I felt like he had no business taking. Defensively, he offers virtually little to nothing. So I feel like getting somebody who is a better version of him is defensively good and actually a playmaker like a Rubio would be beneficial. And man, if only the players they have could develop like an Aaron Nesmith and he can actually be a serviceable player.
You're holding on to Aaron?
I hope. Because, look, I like Derek White, but when it comes to matchups, in order for a team to stop helping off players so much, you have to have players around your stars that are knockdown shooters.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Derek White isn't that. Aaron Nesmith is supposed to be that. So if
Grant Williams was supposed to be that, bro.
Let me ask you a question.
So if Aaron Nesmith was just serviceable, he could have filled that role and he could have taken up those Pritchard minutes and gave them a floor spacer. But because of that, I feel like the window isn't closed. And what I said earlier, the biggest thing was just the amount that they played. Like Tatum, Smart, Brown, and Horford logged 2,000 more minutes than the Warriors' Big Four. And when you take into account the regular season plus the playoffs, the Celtics' Big Four played an equivalent of 176 games versus the Warriors' 136. And Game 6, you saw it. Like, they just looked gassed.
They were leaving, right?
Yeah, they were leaving shooters wide open. They weren't rotating fast enough. And to me, that just looks like fatigue. Do I think the window is closed? No. But is there a possibility that they never go back to the finals? Yes.
Always that possibility.
There's teams that we've talked about in the past that have such bright futures that make the finals and they don't make it again.
Orlando, they went once. They have not.
It's unfortunate that LeBron was there, but they did beat LeBron to get there. So
they have not been close in damn near 11, 12 years. So like that one window could be like, not saying Boston's a great team, but that could be this could be their one only window. But I had a question. So you were talking about you need knockdown shooters around it, but do you think that's always the case? Because even against Dallas, they put 4 shooters out there next to Luka, and even then Golden State still just lived or died by them hitting shots. Do you think that's that, or they just need like more guys who can create on their own and be shooters?
Dallas's problem to me wasn't offense though. Wasn't offense. Their problem to me was defensively, that they didn't have a rim protector to stop anything.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I'm saying even then, Kleber wasn't hitting all the time. Bullock was missing a lot of shots. So you think it's that, or they need just guys who can create? Because even then, maybe if they had a guy who create and also hit that big shot, that would kind of like keep the defense on their heels. I think that would be like.
Well, it's always better to have somebody who's a shot creator and can knock down at an efficient rate. But like to me, for the Dallas series, at least when I saw their like I'm looking up their numbers right now. I'm looking up what they did. Like Brunson shot 40% from 3.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie shot 45%. Finney-Smith shot 44%. Bullock shot 41%. Kleber and Bertans were both bad at 26% and 21%. But for the series as a team, they shot 37% from 3, and their offensive rating was 114.6. And that's one of the top offensive ratings in the league.
I think
it's just their defensive rating was 123.9.
It was that one game I'm thinking of when Bullock went like 0 for 10 and Kleber went like sometimes that works, but sometimes like, bite you in the ass.
You look at the Celtics.
Like the Celtics, the defense is not a problem.
No.
Like the
they
Celtics
stopped everybody they needed.
The Celtics offensive rating in this series, I believe, was 110.6.
Their last 3 games though, offensively, they were shit.
Yeah.
No, exactly to your point. The defense of the Celtics is not the problem at all. If Jayson Tatum was Jayson Tatum, who knows how the series goes really? Him being terrible for his standards.
No. The standards you guys put on him.
I mean, that's really, is that not fair though?
That is fair.
But that's what I'm saying. So you just had to throw that in there?
Of course.
Fair enough. I mean, listen, you're on your high horse right now.
But as long as the core stays together, the window isn't completely closed.
No way.
It's still wide open.